Hey everyone, watch this video. It's not short, it's got a lot of parts to it, but it'll help you be able to push out your Go Math student workbooks to your students in Seesaw in a way that they can interact with it. So it takes some downloading of apps and a lot of steps, but once you've done it a couple times, it's pretty easy. You should be able to do it in 5 minutes or less for each lesson once you've figured out and kind of gotten in the flow. So hang in there. Go step by step, take a break in the middle. You don't have to do the whole thing at once, but it really does help, and I would highly recommend using this, especially if you want to get them working on the math that we would be doing at school. All right, thanks. Hey, I'm going to be sending out a couple videos today, and these are all steps that you need to take if you want to get Go Math going so your students can interact with it. And I'm going to be doing all this on the iPad Pros that we all have. So the first thing you need to be able to do is to be able to take a screenshot easily. So I'm going to show you a way that you can edit your iPad and do that. So I want to click on Settings, which is in the top right here, that gray icon with the gears. So I'm going to touch that. And what I need to do is scroll down to Accessibility, which is under General in the middle here, and it's got the person in the center of the circle. I'm going to click on that. And the next thing I want to find is Touch, which is down under Physical and Motor. There's Vision, then Physical and Motor, and I want to hit Touch. And then up on top it says Assistive Touch, and I want to turn that on. So now that I got this screen, I need to hit that slider bar and turn it on. And it gives you an option. Now, did you see this little guy that popped up? That's what we're going to be using to do these screenshots. But you can customize it if you want to do a single tap or a double tap or a long press. And I like to use the double tap because a lot of times I'll touch it by accident and it'll take a screenshot of my screen when I don't want it to. So if I want to use the double tap, I need to touch where it says double tap. And I need to scroll down to where it says screenshot. And you want to make sure that you check that. And then I'm going to go backwards, and now I can check and see that it's on and that I can hit double tap to get a screenshot. So I'll show you right now. If I click on this little guy, which you can move around the screen if you want to and get it in a place that's good for you. If I click it twice, it takes a screenshot. And if I touch that screenshot, I can instantly go in and edit the size of it and how it looks. And when I'm done, I click Done. And then I could save it to my photos. I'm going to delete it because I don't want this picture. But that will make it really easily so that you can take screenshots. So the next step is going to make sure that we have the apps that we need. All right, good luck. All right, the next thing that we're going to need is to get an app from the App Store. It's free. It's called Paper. And I already have it down here on my dashboard, but I'll show you in the app what it looks like. It's Paper by WeTransfer. It's the one right here where it says Character Design, and it's flipping through the books. You want to download that. The paid subscription is actually worth it. I think it's like $12 a year. And you just get some other features that you don't with the free version, but everything that you need for this you can get in the free version. So we want to download that and make sure that we can get it, that we have it on our iPad, because with this app we can make separate pages and kind of make it into a PDF, and it comes out nice and crisp. I tried it with slides and this looks way better. So once I get that app, I can open it up, and I already have some of these journals in here that I want to use, or that I have been using. But if I want to make a new one, I want to hit the plus sign, and you probably want to make one just for math that you can use to do this. So I'm going to make a new folder, and if I touch the name of it, Journal, I can go in and change it to Go Math. All right, and when I'm done, I touch outside of that, anywhere outside of it on the background, and I've got my title, and I can go in and I can do my cover image. Say, you want to make it look fancy. You can pick your cover, and then I can go in and I can actually pick the color of the band I want to use. Let's go with that. And now the other thing you can actually do in here is if I want to edit it, I can use my page template. So that means every page in my journal, I have all these options. I can have it plain or graph paper, and it might be a good idea to use line paper for it, because the way this turns out, it'll give your kids some lines on the side to get their work done. So, and the way I got to that is from looking at the top right corner of this journal. It's got those lines with the dots. If I touch that, it takes me to this option, so I can go in and again adjust any of those that I want to. And now in my journal, I've got some line paper, and for each math lesson, you're going to need 4 pages. So I want to click the plus sign 4 times, so I have 4 different pages. So now I'm kind of ready to go for my next step, which is going into Go Math and getting those pages. So I'm going to close this out, and that will be my next video. All right, the next step is we need to go into Go Math and get the math lessons. And we're going to do that by taking screenshots. So we all have this guy, and we have paper ready. So next step is I'm going to go into Safari. And we got to use Safari because we can see the waffle, which is important. So I want to go into Safari and make sure I'm logged in to my school email account. And then next to my icon here, there's an array of 9 called the waffle, and if I click on that, I get a list of things to choose from, and at the bottom there should be Think Central. I want to touch that, and it prompts you to log in with your Google account, which is your school email address account, and you want to just follow the steps to log in, and it should bring you in automatically without you having to have a password. And what I want to do now is I want to go in to your grade. You want to find your grade level, and I'm just going to go with first grade. And I want to look for the student edition. I want to click on that, and then I want to go with the HTML5 ebook. And it should bring up the student book. And to get to where you want to go to your table of contents. And the first time you go in, it'll look something like what I see now, and you can find your unit, and say we're in Unit 2. And say we're in Chapter 6, and we're doing lesson number 1, which is count by ones to 120. I would click on that, and it'll pull up the page that you want. So what I want to do now is I want to capture 4 screenshots of the 4 pages the students are going to need to work through. So I've got this thing now, so I'm going to double tap it, and it should take a screenshot. And I can touch that now, and I can bring it in and crop it. When I'm done, I want to hit done and save it to my photos. And then on the side here, there's some arrows, an arrow pointing to like a line on the left and right. If I touch the one on the right hand side, it'll bring me to my next page. And I want to double tap, take a screenshot, and I'm going to do this for 4 pages. So 2, 3, done. Save to photos. And my last one, double tap. Cut it down. And done. Save the photos. And now I've got everything I need to get it into paper. So to get it All right, our next step is to put these photos into paper. And now that we've got everything downloaded and we know how to take screenshots, this will be a pretty quick thing for you to get through. But one thing I want to do is go to my photos, and I want to just look, and I can see the order I took my photos, and I can see like which one was first, second, third, and fourth. So I've got to kind of have a visual on what those pages look like. And I'm going to go into paper, and I want to touch the page that I want to get to. And I'm going to look for that, looks like a postcard of mountains and a sunrise or sunset, and I want to touch that and touch the plus sign. And then I want to touch photos all the way over on the left. And I want to pick the first page that I need, and I can adjust that by using my pointer and my thumb, and I can get it the size I want. Try to get it in the middle. And when I'm done, I click on the X, and now it's good to go. And if I want to go to my next page, I can hit this X here and then go to my next page and touch it. And I want to do that same step a couple times till I get all my pages in. Okay, and next, photos, and then this step on your own. Okay, and then the last one. And now I've got it in there, and I've got everything the right size. And now I've got all my pages in my journal. So I'm going to touch outside of the book, and it'll bring me to this view. And what I want to do now is I want to touch the arrow underneath there pointing up towards the book. And I want to export a PDF of this. And it's going to ask me what I want to do with it. And I'm going to go to my Google Drive. And I want to pick the right account. And if I touch it, I can rename it. So this was chapter 6.1. Okay, and I want to kind of pick where it's going to go. And what I did in my drive is I made a Go Math folder. So I'm going to put it in there. And I want to upload it. And now it should be in my drive. So if I go into my Google Drive now, and I want to see, I go into Go Math, and I have chapter 6.1. Now my PDF looks something like this. So I've got math pages, and I've got lines on the side if they need to do a little work. So that looks good to go, and our next step is I'm going to be showing you how to put that into Seesaw. All right, next is how to get this into a Seesaw activity. So I'm going to go into Seesaw, and I'm going to do this in my test class. And I'm going to click on Activities, Browse Activity Library, My Library, and I'm going to click on Create New Activity, and say I'm going to call this chapter, or maybe lesson 6.1, and you want to type in any instructions you want. And you're going to want to add a template for student responses. So we're going to get that from our drive. That's what we just made. So I want to go to Upload from Google Drive. And my Go Math folder is right there. And I want to put in that PDF that I made. And here it is. So now my students should be able to see each one of these pages by clicking on or touching these 1, 2, 3, 4 pages on the side. So once I've got that in there, I'm going to click on the check mark, and it'll insert it for my students. And another thing you might want to do is you might want to do the beginning of your lesson where you're teaching instructions on this. So the way we can do that is if we click on Add Multimedia Instructions or Example. I'm going to go to Upload again from Google Drive, and I want to find that same exact file. And now what you can do is you can use the voice recording tool to walk through the opening part of your lesson. So, for example, if I touch the recording tool, it'll count down for me. And now I can go in and start my lesson. Say you wanted to, engage your students about how they would decide which numbers they would want to put in here. Maybe I noticed that the pattern 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And you're talking to your students and telling them and, kind of explaining your thoughts on how you're going to fill things into your chart. And you can do this on each page individually. So when I'm done with this page, I want to click done. And then I can go to page 2. And if I want to walk through this part, I can hit record. And now it'll start recording what I want to do if I want to walk through these. Like I'm going to use a counting chart and count forward, write the numbers, look for patterns when you write the numbers. So I can go through and start working through with my students about how I would want to fill this in or what strategies I'd want to use to fill this in. When you're done with each page, you click done and hit the check mark. And you can obviously go down and do some more options, right? So if you want to add skills, which we're not going to be using quite yet, it looks pretty good to me now. Make sure your instructions are in there. If you want to add voice instructions, you can do that. I'm going to click on save. And now I've got this thing ready to go. And if I want to see what it's like for a student, I can click on this and it'll kind of play my video for me. So if I touch this now, and now I can go in and start my lesson. Say you wanted to, engage your students about how they would decide which numbers they would want to put in here. So that's in there. So now you have you kind of walking your students through their lessons. And when your students go in to work on it, they'll be able to go in and they're going to want to, sorry, I got to go in and assign this so you can see what it looks like for a student. So I'm going to assign it to my test class. Yep, and we're going to view it. And now when students go to add a response, they'll have each page here, and now if they need to view instructions, they can click on that and they can watch the video. And also, if they want to just start working through their math, they can hit the recording tool and talk out what they're doing with the math, or they can go through and fill out, their 100 chart now. So, you can go in and that student's gonna fill this in. And when they're finished, they would need to go through each page. But like what I did on the first page is saved, so they would go through all their pages by touching on the side here. And when they're done, they hit the check mark. And now your student's math is turned into you, and you can go in and look at that activity and see your student responses on the bottom. And I can go through each page and see what they did. All right, I hope that helps. And I know it seems like a lot of steps, but once you get the apps installed and you get good at taking those photos, it's really kind of quick. You can, in less than, I'd say 10 minutes, have your math lesson set up. And you could probably do a week in less than an hour, getting them ready and made. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for hanging in there. I know it was a lot of steps. All right.